It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
What is up, heroes of Dominion? My name is Charlie. This is Hero Wars Central, and in today's video, I thought we would chat a little bit about the best free-to-play heroes for new and mid to low level players. There's a lot of heroes in this game that are thrown at you at the very beginning. There is a lot that you get from different events here and there, and you might have gotten access to some heroes that maybe you don't know what they are or what they're about. Every 5 or 10 levels, you get access to a new activity in the game, which leads to a new vendor over here in the shop, right? So I wanted to just talk a little bit about some of these vendor heroes and some of the campaign heroes. And the main reason why I wanted to redo this video, I've done this video in the past, I did one about a year ago, is some of the heroes in the shops have been reworked and are now significantly better than what they used to be. So let's talk about a little bit. Let's talk about the campaign first, and then we'll talk about the merchant. So whenever you first get started, you get access to these these missions with heroes above them, and you may or may not understand that if you fight these missions, you get a chance. Rewarded soul stones, and the soul stones are of course what summons the heroes, and you can see the difference here. This mission doesn't have soul stones. This one has a chance to get ginger soul stones. So of the starting kind of first 3 to 4 chapters, there are a number of heroes that are worth using. There are heroes that are worth maybe leveling up and having as a support later on, and then there are just heroes that I wouldn't recommend. So I want to quickly run through these and talk about them, and then we'll talk about the shop. So Artemis is a strong damage dealer. Ginger is a strong damage dealer that I would skip. I wouldn't level Ginger up unless you just really love Ginger. Mojo is a very strong single target damage dealer. He's great against bosses, great against in the campaign, but I would probably skip him as well. And whenever I say skip, I mean as a new player, you shouldn't invest a ton of resources in them because mid to late game, they start to die off in effectiveness. They might be strong in the early game, but that's because basically every hero is strong in the early game. We have Thea, which is a great healer that you started with. Galahad, Astaroth, and Aurora. These 3 right here are the trifecta of tanks. You want to pick 1 or 2, but not all 3. And of these 3, I would say that Aurora is going to be the hardest to be effective with early. She ends up being one of the stronger tanks in the game, especially on the Facebook version of the game. But when it comes down to, just day in, day out, playing the different activities in the game, Astaroth and Galahad are going to be better more often in their respective teams. Galahad is going to be better in more offensive teams that are designed to kill the enemy quicker, and Astaroth is going to be a little bit more defensive, more grind you out, more control oriented. Personally, I like Astaroth better. Galahad definitely has its place, but again, pick 1 or 2 of these out of the 3. Don't go for all 3. Take a look at the skills, decide which one you like. They're all 3 going to be good well into the end of your Hero Wars career, but I would not recommend investing in all 3 of these from the get-go. All right, pick 1 or 2. Phobos, great in campaign, but starts to die off a little bit. Fox is a great support hero. She's okay once in the mid-range. I would probably not worry about Fox in the beginning. Skip her for now. Very strong against physical heroes in arena and PvP, but she's a little slow to develop. Kira is one of the top damage dealing heroes in the game. You could absolutely build a team around Kira, and if you're this far into the game and you're not sure who your main damage dealer is going to be, give Kira a shot. She's pretty effective. You know how I feel about Mojo. Heidi is recently updated on the mobile version of the game. On the Facebook version of the game, she didn't get an update. I'm sorry, he didn't get an update, and his dodge mechanic is nice, but it takes a lot to get going. It takes a lot. So Heidi has the potential of being one of the best heroes in the game, but it takes a lot of investment, a lot of time and resources to get him where he needs to be. We've already talked about Ginger, Kira, and Thea. Let's just quickly look here. Chapter 5, nothing really new. Daredevil on Facebook is a skip. I wouldn't worry too much about Daredevil. And again, I'm saying these things. I'm saying skip. But if you fall in love with the hero, so I was just talking about Daredevil there. Let's just use Daredevil for an example here. If you fall in love with Daredevil, like if Daredevil is your jam, if she's who you want to, be your main damage dealer, then I don't want you to let anybody tell you otherwise. You can absolutely build a team around every single hero in this game, with some very few exception. But when it comes to overall effectiveness in, the majority of the activities in the game, including player versus player, including doing boss fights in the campaign, including doing boss fights in Outland, including the tower, the heroes that I'm saying skip are either, difficult early and not very effective early, or they're just not up to par in mid to late game. All right, so let's talk about some of the vendors. You get the arena vendor first. You have 4 great heroes here. All 4 of these heroes are definitely usable. The caveats that I would mention: Judge is probably one of the 2 to 3 heroes that I would not recommend anybody use. Judge does have his place. He's a very strong support hero in very, very specific circumstances. However, there are a ton of other heroes that do what he does better. So if you're looking to spend arena coins, I would probably not spend them on Judge. If you need a tank, Chaba is a great tank. If you don't like Aurora, Galahad, and Astaroth, the 3 tanks that I mentioned from the campaign, Chaba is a good option. However, he is outclassed a little bit by Aurora, Astaroth, and Galahad in most situations. There are some that Chaba is better. Of course, aesthetically, if you like Chaba, go with Chaba as a tank. Darkstar, not quite strong enough to build a team around. However, she's highly effective against certain enemies, especially in the late game. Some of the troublesome teams that you might run into in the very late game that have high damage dealers in the back, Darkstar is effective against. And Maya kind of looks like a hybrid between a healer and a mage. She does a lot of good damage. She does a lot of good things. All 3 of these heroes, actually all 4 of these heroes, are effective if you build the team around them correctly. I just want you to know, kind of, Judge is on the weaker side. Chaba's kind of on the weaker side. And these 2, Darkstar is more of a support hero that you sub in. Maya is good. She can fit into a lot of teams. Gran Arena is kind of the highest end of these vendors, but it's next in line. So of these 4, I would skip Ishmael. Ishmael looks really cool, but he recently underwent a nerf. I say recently, it was a little while ago, actually over a year ago. He's an upfront warrior. He's missing some stats. He takes a lot of investment to be good. I would skip Ishmael. Rufus is a tank that you use to counter certain teams, so I wouldn't use Rufus as your main tank. You definitely want Rufus later on, but I would probably skip him in the early game. Marcus is one of the best healers in the game after a recent update. Again, a big part of the reason why I'm doing this video. And Marcus could be potentially a nice replacement for Thea. Marcus could be a second team's main healer if you don't have access to any other healer. Excuse me. And there's a pretty dramatic lack of healers in Hero Wars overall. So if you need a healer, go ahead and grab Marcus. And Leon is a nice crowd control. She also recently underwent a rework. She wasn't that great. Now she's a little bit better. In the right teams, she's very strong. She puts enemies to sleep, but she's on the very back end and she's kind of fragile. So of these, Leon and Marcus are, okay picks. Leon's a great support damage dealer. Marcus is a great healer. Rufus is more of a counter hero. You want to level him up for certain fights against mages. And Ishmael, I think you should wait on Ishmael. I think you should do your research on Ishmael. Ask people about Ishmael. He's a really cool hero, but effectively, he's just not there anymore. Not there anymore at all. Now, the tower. You'll find yourself with a surplus of tower coins. It seems like no matter what I do, I always have plenty of tower coins. All 4 of these heroes are worth investing in now. There was a time that Dante was one of the worst heroes in the game, and this is talking about Facebook specifically, but recently Dante got a rework that makes him quite effective of a damage dealer. He's actually quite fun to play now. Kai is a nice damaging mage, very strong in mage teams, very strong in a certain couple high-end meta teams. Orion is another very strong mage. Dante, like I mentioned, is a great physical damage dealer. Lilith, is a weird one. Lilith is a tank, but again, like I mentioned with Chaba up in the arena shop, I probably would pick one of the other tanks over Lilith. She can be okay in certain teams, but I think you need to be really specific about what team you put her in. So of the tower shop, I think, you know, these top three are pretty good, and Lilith is okay. On mobile, she's way better. On mobile, she's way better. The friendship shop. And we're going to talk about the friendship shop here. We're not going to talk about the highwayman shop because, you know, this is more of a Facebook-focused video. Faceless is one of the most underrated heroes in the game. He provides a ton of magic defense for your team. He copies any hero's ability. I think Faceless is a strong support hero if used correctly, but there's a little bit of nuance to using him. Maybe not the best for new players, but certainly a big pickup. And Cornelius is like I mentioned with Rufus earlier. Cornelius, I would recommend getting Cornelius as well. And you can see I also seem to have just about as many friendship coins as I ever could want. So I'll probably buy both of these. I already have both of these fully maxed out at Absolute Star, I should say. But Cornelius is great against certain mage teams. Cornelius is great against certain campaign missions. But he is kind of a support hero. He's good to have kind of in the, you know, on the sidelines ready to sub in. But, you know, if you're hurting for resources, I would not invest in Cornelius for your main team. Faceless does have a place, but it's, like I mentioned, it's kind of nuanced. And then finally, the Outland shop. Now, you have 4 heroes here that are all 4 pretty good. I want to talk about Jorgen kind of on his own, though. Jorgen ends up being one of the best heroes in the game in just about every aspect of the game, with the exception of adventures and, to an extent, some of the campaign. So Jorgen is one of the best player versus player heroes you can have in your team. He goes very well in just about every single team, and there are very few heroes that goes as well as he does into basically every single team. Jorgen is a nice pickup for sure. Luther is a tank like Chaba, and to a lesser extent Lilith and Rufus. He is more of a tank that you need to build a specific team for. If you like Luther a lot, he's this cool paladin, you know, hero. Go ahead and grab him. I mean, he's a lot of fun, but the other tanks in the beginning are way better, and you really need to build a team for Luther. The same can be said for Qing Mao and Elmer. Both of these are solid frontline damage dealers. These are both very strong damage dealing heroes, but these more are support heroes. They do a lot of damage, but they like to support physical attacking teams. So earlier we were talking about Artemis and Daredevil and Kira. These 2 heroes, not both, but one or the other, would be a nice addition to that physical damage dealing team. That'll support them. However, this Outland shop is one of the biggest asterisks, the biggest caveats out of all of these shops. You may want to buy skinstone chests instead. I don't really want to talk about why here in this video, but skinstones are very, very rare in the grand scheme of how many you need. You need hundreds of thousands of skinstones for your team. So if you're not planning on leveling up any of these 4 heroes in your main team, and you probably should consider at least 1 or 2, then you need to be spending on these large skinstone chests. All right. The other vendors that I have unlocked here, the Soul Shop and the Guild War Shop, I don't want to worry about in this video because this is more of a free-to-play kind of video. But the main thing that I want to get across, after everything else is being said, all of these heroes have at least one solid team you can build out of them, right? Judge, Darkstar, Maya, Chaba, Leon, Ishmael, Rufus, Marcus, they all have a few teams that are very effective at late game, at the very late game, you know, in the mid, in the not quite late game, but there are effective teams using all of these heroes. Join the Discord, join some of the fun Facebook groups, and find out what teams do well with these particular heroes. Faceless Cornelius, same deal. All 4 of these, same situation. If you really like one of these heroes, say for example you really love Qing Mao, then find out, do a little bit of research, jump onto the Discord and chat with people about, you know, who makes great pairings with Qing Mao and what teams I would put with Qing Mao and which is the best tank to put with Qing Mao. Those are the questions that you need to be asking yourself. You know, first kind of decide who you like, who looks good, and then kind of go from there. But you can absolutely make a nice, solid free-to-play team based on just the merchant and the first 4 or 5 chapters of the campaign. you can absolutely do that. There are not any extremely important parts that are missing with, you know, a good lot of teams that you could build just out of these first couple of chapters. All right. So any questions about, you know, fun free-to-play teams, please leave them in the comment section down below. I've mentioned the Discord a few times. If you're not sure what Discord is, it's a nice chat room that it's a lightweight program you can download to your phone, tablet, or desktop that you can chat with other players. The link to my Discord is in the description box down below. Search for Hero Wars on Facebook. There's about a half dozen fun groups of varying degrees. Some are focused for Facebook, some are focused on mobile. You know, find a home there. But yeah, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel if you'd like to see more videos like this. I like to do educational stuff for new players and, you know, mid-level players. But this game is ever evolving, ever evolving. Case in point, a couple of the heroes that we mentioned, they were terrible 6 months ago. They were just terrible 6 months ago, and now they're viable. They're completely worth leveling up. So with all that being said, let's wrap the video up here. I love you all. Good luck in Dominion.